Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to yet another edition of Season 1 of the Cheap Lounge. Welcome to the Cheap Lounge. I'm your cheap date, Kaiwaza, with my cheap drink and my Don Ho glass. A little bit of iced tea. You know, Mama's special iced tea. So this is the program where we discuss cheap dollar bin records in the easy listening lounge realm that I have uploaded this week onto my hobby radio station, Moody Mood Music, on live365.com, which will be linked below, and you can check that out anytime. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And all the music that we'll be showing and discussing today has already been uploaded onto Moody Mood Music and is being featured in the new music slots that are twice an hour presently. So, yeah. Notice I have a little Easter Island cocktail stirrer. I need a drink. It's been so busy at work. Actually, this is my second iced tea. Okay, so we're just going to discuss these records first and hear little samples, and hopefully there won't be any copyright issues. If there are, you know, from time to time you might hear a really weird edit in my video where all of a sudden I'm talking and then it's cut and I'm talking about something else. It's because something's had a copyright issue, and you can just, YouTube will allow you to take it out, which is usually what I do because I don't want to retake the whole video and do it without that and blah, blah, blah. So it's a little bit awkward occasionally, but, you know, that's life, right? First up, Dionne Warwick. The album is On Stage and at the Movies.
Bangles, hear how they jingle.
This record's from 1967, and it was produced by Bacharach and David, although it doesn't have any of their songs. You know, Dionne Warwick actually did record a lot of Bacharach songs, but there's none on this album. Now, as expected, because it's, you know, on the stage and on the screen, there are some sort of very dramatic show tune sort of like numbers on here. The song of hers, I have to say that I really identify with her, is Planes and Boats and Trains. Because that song, for some reason, used to be played a lot on the easy listening station my mother used to listen to. That was on the television, like the TV Guide channel, and I always loved that song whenever it played. But Dionne Warwick, originally from Orange, New Jersey, and actually how she got, is kind of interesting how she got her really professional start. I mean, she was singing, her family, a lot of her family members were gospel singers, but she actually was sort of discovered by Burt Bacharach, and they he wanted her to be, what do they call it? I have some notes here. They wanted her as a singer, recording demonstration records. So it would be like singing the songs of his composition and David's, Hal David's. They would record their songs, she would sing them, and then they would try and sell those songs to different music companies. So that's how she was hired originally, and then she started recording, you know, on her own, and they kind of backed her up in that as well. And of course she was very successful. She actually is the most charted female singer of all time. Has had the most songs on the chart. This particular record did not produce any of those hits though. But it is a very nice record. Variety of tunes here.
But now and then he'll say
if you're a child of the 80s, or were like I was in the 80s, I was very into the pop charts at that time. So I was in college, and what I really know from her at that time was that song "That's What Friends Are For," which she did with like 3 other people, and the song "Heartbreaker," which I still love. I think that's a really pretty song. But of course, she had many hits before that, and she had some hits after that. And if you're a child of the 90s, though, what you probably know her as is the spokesperson for the Psychic Friends Network. You remember that? Went all the way during the 90s, from 91 to 1998. She was the spokesperson, and she was on television talking about the Psychic Friends Network, our friends at the Psychic Friends Network. And a friend of hers I was reading told reporters one time that during the 90s, it was very sad for her when she would be going through an airport, going somewhere, and younger kids would all come up to her or point her out, recognize her and be like, "That's the Psychic Friends lady. That's the Psychic Friends lady," because, you know, she wanted to be known, of course, for her body of work as a singer and an artist, and she was always disappointed with that. But all I have to say is she made $3 million a year from Psychic Friends Network. So cry me a river, right? That's Dionne Warwick. We like her. Next one, instrumental album on Disneyland Records, sort of oddly, Tutti's Trumpets. We love the artwork here. Well-known horn players here on this album. And who is Tutti? Tutti is Tutti Camarata, real name Salvatore Camarata, from New Jersey. Was known as Tutti Camarata, and began as a trumpet player for Jimmy and Tommy Dorsey, and then gradually played with a lot of other bands like Duke Ellington. Eventually was composing and orchestra band leading on his own. He was hired by Walt Disney to be their musical director for Disneyland Records, and he himself recorded 5 or 6, not a whole lot of records, as Tutti Camarata or Camarata and his orchestra on Disneyland Records. This one has several original songs. There's I Can't Get Started, Boy Meets Horn, What's New, Trumpet Soliloquy, Trumpet Tango, Bugle Blues, Tenderly, Lewis, Trumpeter's Prayer, and Southland. And yeah. Disneyland Records. Kind of odd to see something like this on Disneyland. I do have another album of his on Disneyland called Winter, which is like sort of all winter themed songs. And he did spring, summer, and fall records, which I don't have. I would love to come across him in a dollar record bin sometime, because I would snatch him up. But yeah, Tutti's Trumpets. I also have Tutti's Trombones, which I haven't listened to yet, but this one is, yeah, it's okay. I was not blown away by it, but yeah, it's nice. Okay, here's one. A lot of interest in this record amongst the sort of loungy, space age, bachelor pad kind of music crowd. This is a 1959 recording. The artist is Jack Fascinato. It's called Music from a Surplus Store. Rather unusual to find this in a dollar record bin. I found it with his other well-known album, Palm Springs Suite, together in a dollar record bin in wonderful condition. So So the concept here is that it is, sort of a standard, easy listening type orchestra, but they are incorporating, I'll just read here. It says, a collection of seemingly unmusical implements from the hardware shelf, such as trowels, putty knives, crowbars, are blended with more usual orchestra sounds in 12 fun-filled original compositions by Jack Fascinato and Ken Snyder. And the titles are Oily Boyd, Pixie Pipes Parade, Sweepy Time, Rub-a-Dub, Chinatown Bricklayer, Adios Castanets, Latin Hardware, Spring Sprang Sprung, Making Tracks, An Old Saw, Basket Weaving, and Foggy Recollections. And then they tell you like what implements they're using other than the normal orchestra inside of each song. So, okay, I'm going to say here that I personally found this record a little bit disappointing. Yeah, because it's just, it's okay. I appreciate all the original compositions. I appreciate the different things that they incorporated. But if you have any of these, the thing about it is okay, if you have these sort of like Project 3 command records and these kind of things that are like, the dynamic directional stereo, all these kind of records that were put out in these gatefold records that were doing like ping pong percussion and kind of crazy instruments and lots of rhythm and whatever. And they really put Enoch Light and such, like they really put those unusual instruments or those unusual sounds were really featured like forefront. Like you would be listening to the song and you would hear things very forefront that would be like, what is that? Like, what instrument is that? Or they would do some weird, very in-your-face sort of things, like moving it back and forth between the two speakers and just doing these sort of dynamic arrangements where the unusual sounds were really featured heavily. For me, this one, the weird instruments are very much incorporated into the sound of the orchestra, and I feel like if nobody told me, if I didn't know, if I was just listening to moody mood music and something from Music from a Surplus Store came on, I would not recognize it as being like a non-musical instrument. I wouldn't recognize, because it's very good in a way because they incorporate them in a way that it doesn't stand out. It sort of fits in with the arrangement, and I think you don't even really think about it, except maybe An Old Saw where they're using the saw. That was pretty in your face. But otherwise, most of these things, they sound similar to actual instruments, and the arrangements don't really draw a lot of attention to the unusual instruments. So yeah, for that reason, I have to say, I find it to be, it's fine musically, but as far as entertaining and really giving you that feeling that they're doing something weird with non-musical instruments, they don't really give you that feeling to me. So yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. Not my favorite. Very happy to find it for $1, but we can let it go too. It's,
Hello. When you're stressed and you need relaxation, you'll want to visit me at Moody Mood Music, where beautiful, enjoyable, lovely music can be heard 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can unwind, detox, and enjoy the lush sounds of years ago with me as I spin and spin on the turntable. That's Moody Mood Music on live365.com. The link is below in the description.
Now, here's one from Harmony Records, which was a budget label of Columbia, kind of reissue and budget label. Interesting, called Presenting the Longines Symphonette and the Wittnauer Choraliers, Selections from their 90th anniversary production. Quite a long title. So this is celebrating the 90th anniversary of the Longines Wittnauer Watch Company, who between 1943 and 1959 had a well-known radio program featuring the Longines, named after the watch company, Symphonette, and the Wittnauer, named after the Longines Wittnauer Watch Company, Choraliers. Now later on, after this radio show stopped in 1959, I don't know the exact history, it's a little bit shrouded in mystery, but at some point the Longines Symphonette and the Choraliers became the Longines Symphonette Society, and they started putting out all these gigantic box sets of easy listening music that you can get all over the place that people either love or hate or love to hate. I consider myself sort of love to hate both, because they're easy to make fun of, but they are actually pretty cool. So they were like a mail order company. They became like, you would, request, they would send you mailers and you would request these different box sets to be sent to you and pay for them installment wise or whatever. They actually, I believe, again, this is sort of shrouded in mystery, but they sort of folded in the late 70s with lawsuits that they were sending sets to people who did not order them and demanding money, and they ended up folding. And I understand also all of their music was poof, gone. So we don't have like the masters or whatever. A little bit shrouded in mystery still. Hopefully we'll unravel this story, but this would be one of their early things. Now I checked it out, and interestingly, none of this music does come from their earlier box sets. I looked at their earliest box sets, and it's none of this music. So this is unique to this album, and it sounds old to me. I mean, 1959 is the latest it could be. There is no date on it, and I would say it's earlier than that. At least the music on it seems maybe early 50s. I don't know, but it's semi-classical and theater, kind of like there's a Mikado medley, Blue Danube, Minstrel medley, Romeo and Juliet overture, Gay 90s medley, Victor Hubert medley, Cohen medley, New Orleans medley, and then a couple of dance waltz songs. So yeah, it's enjoyable. Nothing earth-shattering. Is this even real? I mean, who were the Longines Symphonette? We don't even know. Where did they go? Here is Johnny Mathis. This is later, 1976 we are with this one. I Only Have Eyes for You. I love Johnny Mathis. Let me just go on record saying that, okay? Love Johnny Mathis.
Do you get what you're hoping for when you look behind you? There's no open door. What are you hoping for?
So this is also a promotional copy, the one I have, not for sale. And they printed that right over the title tracks, like, duh, thank you. I write the songs, Do Me Wrong, But Do Me. The Hungry Years, I Only Have Eyes for You. Yellow Roses on Her Gown, theme from Mahogany, Do You Know Where You're Going To? Love that song. Oh, What We Do, Send in the Clowns, Every Time You Touch Me, When a Child is Born. Okay, so there's a lot I could say here. He did several more albums after this that sort of did similar things, which is to take a well-known standard, even one that was recorded by him. On this one, I Only Have Eyes for You, and doing like a discoized version of it, which you can love or hate, or like myself, sort of love it and hate it at the same time. I love it and hate it. What I will say about this record is that I don't like the production on it, in the sense that I feel Johnny Mathis had such a beautiful voice, right? Has a beautiful voice, but they really don't, the production sort of nulls that. Like, it's very overproduced sort of in the music, and his voice is almost pulled back into the background. And I think it's a shame because he has such a beautiful sort of gravelly tone that I love hearing in his earlier, all of his earlier recordings. But I just feel like this later one, this one in particular, his voice is just not featured quite, or you don't hear it quite as well as I think you should, and it sort of detracts from my overall enjoyment of it.
I remember how they looked then, when their eyes were always living.
And finally today, we have, I really like this record. This was a series of records. It's called Lonely Harpsichord, Memories of That Rainy Night. This is a 1969 record. I mean, what is there not to love about this record? I mean, you may hate it, you may bore you to tears. There were 3 of these done. I had the other 2. Lonely Harpsichord on a Rainy Night is already playing on Moody Mood Music. It has been for a long time. I've uploaded that a long time ago. Also, if you listen to my station, Hawaiian Hi-Fi, there is a second record, Lonely Harpsichord on a Rainy Night in Shangri-La, which features mostly exotic type songs, Yellow Bird and Quiet Village and these kind of things. That one has been uploaded and is playing for a long time on Hawaiian Hi-Fi radio, but this one I had not recorded yet. So I guess, the Lonely Harpsichord on a Rainy Night was so memorable that we had to return to it to reflect and remember that rainy night with more songs of memories of that rainy night. And I love it because it's just, it isn't that lonely of a harpsichord because there is accompaniment, there's a rhythm section, and there's a vibe on some of the songs, vibraphone, so it's not like he's that lonely. The artist is Jonathan Knight, not the, it's the Backstreet Boys or whatever, not the boy band Jonathan Knight. Anyway, this is just the harpsichord with the small accompaniment with sound effects of like thunderstorms and rain falling and birds and that sort of thing. It's very lovely. I love it. Very soothing record. Totally mood music. Totally loungy. Any of the Lonely Harpsichord records, if you come across them, I would highly recommend, although I'm sure some people loathe them. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you want to see more. Order another drink, but it's still happy hour, so make sure it's one of the specials. This is Cheap Lounge, after all. And yeah, we'll see you next time in the Cheap Lounge. Don't forget to check out Moody Mood Music if you'd like to. It's going to be linked down below. And comment if you have any of these albums or information or ideas or thoughts about these artists and record companies, etc., etc. It's always great to hear from you. So have a wonderful week, you guys, and we will see you next time.